Hello and welcome to VeeamON. I'm Rick Vanover, and I got a really special segment for us here today. I'm joined by Eli Edelkind, and he has really got some important stuff. So, before we get into kind of what's cooking with Eli at Cava, Eli, why don't you take a moment just to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey Rick, thanks so much for being here, for allowing me to be here. I'm really excited for this conversation. So my responsibilities right now are I'm this Chief Information Security Officer at Cava. I also am responsible for infrastructure engineering and technology ops. So I have kind of a broad remit at Cava. Been here for almost 4 years, and it's been a really great partnership.
That's fantastic. And I think, being a CISO, there's a lot of things on your plate, a lot of stakeholders coming in, inside, outside, things you don't know about. But I think there's a massive push, and we're really going to talk about how you're using the security AI product set. There's a massive push that brought you into this stack here around data discovery. And can you tell us about how your journey started?
Yeah, so our journey started. I came to Cava in 2022, and I didn't have a lot of time to get prepared for our IPO. And I really wanted to start off with getting a good, solid foundation of understanding what was going on, right? And one of those areas that I wanted to make sure I had a good handle on was our data. I wanted to understand what data we had, where it was, and the state of it in general. And so worked with security to do that pretty quickly within my first 90 days, understand what data we had and where it was, and was able to move from there to not just the data discovery, but able to move from there to data security posture management. And over time was able to start seeing data lineage and data governance, and really building out the capabilities with across the enterprise as we've started to mature.
I think that's fascinating for a number of reasons. One, because you've got like that CISO responsibility and then additional responsibilities that really, Eli, sits to where Veeam is going. And I know that you're familiar with the security AI products, but these other products really just get me excited. I love it. But I'm convinced that when you went on this journey, on this data discovery journey, you kind of walked into that data security posture management practice as you expected. But I got to think some of the finer points in life or finer points in IT kind of became a priority. And I'm looking at your website now. There's advanced, ordering capabilities. And I think when you're talking about some of the privacy and the cookies and consent, some of those things come into play as well.
Yeah, one of the great things that I like about the platform is I have a relatively small team. Restaurant is by its nature, restaurant has lower margins than what you would expect in other industries. And so we have to really monitor our G&A. We really have to manage our team dynamics and our growth in the back office to manage things. But the expectations at Kava are very large for us. So we have to really have outsized capabilities than what you would typically expect. And so one of the things that we do is in certain areas like this, we take full advantage of platforms that enable us to get multi capabilities out of them. As we started to really dig deep in our digital environment, coming out with our own unified web and other capabilities, we started to unleash. We use cookie consent. We have our privacy policy in security AI, and we do our data subject rights requests through it. Makes it very easy to where our engineering teams don't have to worry about the privacy and that type of stuff. They just host the iframe and don't have to worry about all the things that come with building out those types of capabilities. It's just part of our package and part of how we do things. The automation behind it is really awesome. Allows us to respond to guest requests and things like that relatively quickly, and make sure that we have the data well in hand and are doing the best we can for our guests. Over time, we've also been able to, we've been going over the last year and a half doing our data transformation, really upgrading the way that we manage our data. Part of the cause of that was how well we were seeing and understanding different issues with how we were managing data, and we're able to tell that story of how we need to do better. But as we onboarded other tools to really manage data, Security AI is integrated really well to help us understand data governance, help us to govern our data better, and build us out a very good picture of our data lineage.
That's actually fascinating for a number of reasons, Eli. One thing that catches my eye, I myself, when I was a practitioner before I joined Veeam, I worked also in a low margin environment. And this is one of those things that nobody gets it unless they've lived it, where you as an IT shop are almost forced to execute at a better level out of necessity, and it's actually beautiful when it works. So I take a really distinct appreciation there. I'll say it here: the best run IT operation I personally ever was a part of was in the auto glass manufacturing space, because it was actually a pretty low margin space, and there's hooks into insurance and stuff, but then that kind of cuts margins and stuff too. So very different, but I definitely relate to that. So I admire what you and your teams are doing. And for those of you watching, if you're in a low margin or even just a tough budget year, this is a great way to kind of just be more efficient with what you're doing. And the tools that the Veeam of today, I like to say, the tools that the Veeam of today have available to you can really be a difference maker. And I'll give you one more question here, Eli. And I got to think that the overall outcome is that you really were able to just understand the data flow, and there had to be surprises along the way.
Yeah, I think the progression is kind of natural. And when I talk to other folks about building out a data security and privacy function, I like to tell people, like, don't plan on doing everything at once, because as you get better visibility of your data, it brings up more and more questions. And ultimately, what you learn is that you're able to shed light on business processes that need fixing, right? And business processes don't always happen very quickly, right? There's a lot of muscle tissue that's been built over time that needs to change and be or be exercised, right? And so having a capability like this is really interesting, because it allows you to start with seeing the visibility, but then mature capabilities when you're ready for them. And I think it was interesting about a year and a half into my time at Cava. We had a new leader come in as our CTO, and she asked me, "Hey, how does data security look?" And I said, "Well, I can show you exactly what it looks like." And I was able to show her the dashboard and show her exactly where our data was, show her the opportunities. And that instilled a lot of confidence, not in that everything was great, but we knew what it looked like, we knew what we were doing. And my recommendations for what we needed to do going forward held a lot more value and a lot more significance in our leadership, taking it on board and making it happen. And one of those recommendations was building out a better data management muscle. And we've gotten a lot of value out of doing a lot better with managing our data, more than just governance and security. We are starting to really see our management of data as an enabler of our growth, which is really awesome.
Hey, that's fantastic. There's, again, so much goodness to unpack here. Number one, I love this. You can't necessarily fix everything at once, but you got to do something. And what I've told folks is to start small. Find one area of the business, one multi-tiered app, get real full explainability, know what you're dealing with, and then get the business aligned. Like that conversation you had with the CTO about, this is our risk footprint, this is the flow of the data. If there was a breach, this is what we'd have to contain. This is our blast radius. Sometimes just explaining that stuff is really hard to do. So the data command center definitely makes this, with the different modules, makes this a very easy task to get a hold of the data, understand it, as we do like to say here at Veeam. Eli, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective with us.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Great talking to you.
All right, that concludes this customer voice session here at VeeamON. Be sure to catch other content on the virtual library. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of VeeamON.